Sometimes it's hard for you to clearly see just how you're gonna keep it together. Your obligations and responsibilities, how you gonna meet them ends, how you gonna make it one more time. Now let's hear the truth of it. You are much, much more than this. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. Yeah, you are. La 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 la. I know sometimes it's hard to hold your head up high and show the world you got it together. You think of things that make you wonder, run and hide. Who would love you if they knew who you're? Who could you trust to understand? Now let's hear the truth of it. You are loved much more than this. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. You're not the things you have done. You're not the words that you said, or the heartache that you're going through. Oh, you are the bright of the sun. You are the glow of the moon. And in your presence, the things that seem dark fade away, 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 away.
join me as we turn within? There is one power, one presence, one life, and that power and that presence and that life is our life now. That presence is abundant. We are abundant. That presence is limitless. We are unlimited, and that presence is eternal, and we are eternal. And as we step into the truth of our foreverness, we then in this moment relax and make room for all that Spirit has planned for this celebration. For we know that it is blessed and a blessing, that all who tune in now and later will feel the energy and love and light of this great spiritual center, that their lives will be blessed with hope, with joy and love and light for having come across this way. And for everyone who has participated, the divine within them will shine and shine. And as the message is brought this day, we have ears to hear and feet to act. We know that what happens during this sacred time is life-giving, love-fulfilling, and joyful. And so it is.
Here we go. Surprise.
Here we go. Let's start it.
Above my head, I hear music in the air. Above my head, there's a melody so bright, and there I can hear when I'm all alone. Even in those times when I feel all hope is gone. Above my head, I hear joy bells ringing. Above my head.
What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream for this Sunday, February the 19th, 2023. I want to say a special happy birthday to my grandson, Nixon Barnes, who turns 4 today. He calls me Papa Juan. Juan, the name for John in Spanish, the Spanish pronunciation for John. And I have the opportunity on Thursdays to sit with him while his mother's in school and his father's at work. He and his sister, and every 2 minutes is Papa Juan this, Papa Juan that, Papa Juan, Papa Juan, Papa Juan, and I love it. Happy birthday, Nixon. May you have a great day, and I wish you well in your life, and you've made it to 4. You're a big boy, and you're continuing to grow. I also want to say that on yesterday, I had the opportunity to be on WYXR radio to talk about the migration of African religion into the Caribbean. And there were a number of you that tuned in. You let me know that you were listening. There are others that I know were listening. And I just want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your kind words. And always great to have an opportunity like that. I could put on my professor and anthropologist hat and had an opportunity to do that yesterday. And I'm very grateful that my Open Heart family was a part of that experience. Thank you for all of your support for Open Heart, for all that you do. And as always, I greet you, I bless you, I see God in you.
Our affirmation for the month of February: the ride of your life. Today, my awareness joyfully rests in knowing I make a conscious choice to enjoy the journey called my life. And I proclaim, wow, what a ride! And so it is.
Please don't miss this train at the station. 'Cause if you miss it, I feel sorry, so sorry for you. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Run, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. People all over the world, join hands, start a love
Good morning, Open Heart. Today's affirmative reading comes from the September 2021 edition of the Science of Mind magazine, and it is titled, What's My Message? Many of us have heard the story of the reporter catching Gandhi as he boarded a train asking, Gandhi, what is your message to the people? Gandhi simply replies, My life is my message. The truth in that statement is that each of our lives is our message to the world. Our lives communicate in overt and covert ways what we think, feel, and believe. The things we say, the places we go, the habits we keep, and those we try each new year to break. All of it creates the words, sentences, and paragraphs in our book of life that we share with the world. If my particular book is a book of separation, lack, fear, and scarcity, how does this book contribute to the global library called A World That Works for All? As the writer and editor of my manuscript, I'm invited to edit accordingly. Do I need to rework the book that has thus far been a horror story or a melodramatic soap opera? Is it time for me to change the genre? Each of us is invited on a regular basis to do the contemplative, meditative, introspective work. Holmes reminds us the only God man knows is the God of his own inner life. He can know no other. To assume that man can know a God outside of himself is to assume that he can know something of which he cannot be conscious. What message does my life, your life, communicate about God? Affirmation. Today, I tell a more divine story in the message of my life. My message is a source of inspiration to me and to the world. My light shines brightly. Good morning, Open Heart. Today
It's time for our announcements. Please watch. Despite all the efforts to erase it, Black history is American history, and the month of February highlights the contributions and the achievements of Black Americans. Happy Black History Month.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day. Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
Playhouse on the Square presents The Scottsboro Boys, a musical which runs until February 19th. It's a very powerful, touching, moving, and at times controversial musical, but something I think that you will enjoy seeing and that will leave you with many different emotions. Our own Emma Crystal is the choreographer for this show. Tickets are available at playhouseonthesquare.org. Shaking the Mess Out of Misery is now open through February the 26th at the Hattie Lou Theater. The play follows Daughter, the main character, and the 25-year-old narrator who shares memories of being raised by a community of women after losing her mother as a child. This timeless coming-of-age tale explores passage into womanhood, race, and rituals in the 1960s South. It's directed and choreographed by our own Emma Crystal, and tickets can be obtained by calling the box office or by going to hattielou.org. Our daily affirmative prayer call takes place each and every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Dial in as one of our prayer team members shares an inspirational reading and then prays for you, all in about 7 minutes. New Thought teacher Charles F. Hannell wrote, "Whatever you desire for yourself, affirm it for others, and it will help you both. We reap what we sow. If we send out thoughts of love and health, they return to us like bread cast upon the waters. And so daily, we send out thoughts of love, health, well-being, comfort, and strength for these dear ones on our prayer list." And so it is. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am richly blessed, creating a greater and greater and greater flow. We have ways in which you can give and support Open Heart through Cash App. Our cash tag is OHSC901. You can go online to our website, OHSC901.com. Click on the word give and contribute there. Or you can text the word give to 615-422-4292. Infinite prosperity is mine to share. I am blessed. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you to those of you who have supported us through Amazon Smile. Amazon has announced that at the end of February, they will discontinue the program. But thank you for all that you have done. Those of you, I know I've heard from several of you that use Amazon Smile every time you make orders from Amazon, and we were receiving the result of your support and appreciate the donations that we got on your behalf. Thank you again. You can continue using Amazon Smile until the end of February when it goes away. Black history is a part of history year-round. But traditionally in the month of February, we highlight the accomplishments of Black Americans and beyond. And courtesy of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, we are featuring the pioneers and evolutionaries of science of mind. Hope you enjoy.
Here's a little-known Black history science of mind fact. Some of you might know that Founders Church of Religious Science opened in Los Angeles in 1960. But do you know it was designed by a Black man? Ernest Holmes asked Paul Revere Williams, the first African-American admitted to the American Institute of Architects, to sketch an idea for the building in 1957. Williams produced a sketch of an elliptical circle, and Holmes liked what he saw. To Holmes, the sketch was the perfect symbol for wholeness, unity, the unending and all-inclusive power of love. Williams designed many landmark buildings in Los Angeles, including the iconic LAX Airport Terminal. He was later named a Fellow by the American Institute of Architects, a high honor for his outstanding achievements. Another science of mind Black history fact also involves Los Angeles and a famous singer.
As God didn't make little green apples, and it don't rain in Indianapolis in the summertime.
You might recognize this song and this deep, sultry singing
There's no
voice.
such thing as Dr. Seuss, no Disneyland. Mother Goose is no nursery rhyme.
1969's best song, Grammy Award winner for Little Green Apples, celebrated vocalist O.C. Smith.
And when myself is feeling low, I think about a face aglow and ease my mind.
The talented Smith experienced several career highs that only the best musical dreams are made of. But even though Little Green Apples hit number 2 on the Billboard charts and sold more than 1 million records, the former vocalist for phenomenal band leader Count Basie knew Deep down, there was something more. Smith told an interviewer, "After the music success I had, I was still searching for something and didn't know what it was. I kept looking outside of myself, not realizing the reaching is in the soul, not outside." His life gained new purpose in 1980 when he and his wife Robbie Golson discovered Science of Mind. Introduced by Dr. Joseph Murphy of Laguna Beach, Smith finally heard what he had believed for so long: God as a metaphysical entity, one with all, belonging in each of us and uniting us if we wish to see the Almighty. Inspired by the powerful spiritual principles he internalized, Smith even started explaining the metaphysical meanings of songs during his concerts. Profoundly struck by Science of Mind, Smith gave up his music career to study divinity, and in 1985, Dr. O.C. Smith became pastor of the City of Angels Science of Mind Center in Los Angeles.
We must recognize beauty right where we are. That's why Dr. Ernest Holmes said, "There is not a spot where God is not."
He gained a reputation for mixing jazz with storytelling and for being a loving force of financial support to single-parent households, low-income families, and foster children. The church's City of Angels Foundation also provided dozens of scholarships to help students attend colleges across the nation. Dr. O.C. Smith and Paul Revere Williams, Black evolutionaries in Science of Mind.
$525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measuring love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love.
525,600 minutes, 525,000 journeys to the land, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man?
The truths that she learned, or in times that he cried, in bridges he burned, or the way that she died. It's time now to sing out, though the story never ends.
This month, we have been using the theme, the ride of your life. First Sunday, I did the ride of your life, talking about the fact of if we write it down and make it plain, things happen for us in our lives. Things manifest and unfold as we continue to do and write our own narrative and make our own narrative. Last week, I talked about the bite of your life, how the fact, using the story of the Israelites in the desert when they were complaining and grumbling and they found themselves being bitten by poisonous serpents, and how that translates and relates to when we become bitter and critical and are always complaining and whining, and how it can take us off the path. And this morning, I'm talking about the love of your life, because we know that February is Love Month, and we celebrated, many of us, Valentine's Day this week, and there are many other ways during this month in which we express love. So today, the love of your life. And I know that oftentimes we think about when Jesus, the master teacher, was asked what the greatest commandment was. He said, loving God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and all your strength, and loving your neighbor while loving yourself. And notice that I said loving, because love is not a noun. Love is an energy. So loving is an action, and it applies as energy in whatever way we direct it, whether it's toward our significant other, whether it's toward a family member, whether it's toward a friend, whether it's toward a pet, whatever, whether it's toward a hobby, so many things, directing that energy toward those things. Have you ever watched a child with a stuffed animal or a blanket or some other beloved object? They will just squeeze it and hold on to it, and they will send all kinds of energy into it. And we might look at it as just a toy or just something else, but that child, you can't tell it anything, because it just feels love and expresses love. And even we as adults do the same thing. There are things in our lives that we send this loving energy to. It's all about loving your life. As Walter Starkey in his book, It's All God, the flower and the fertilizer, meaning the flowers, those beautiful things in life that bloom, and the fertilizer, the manure, there's all of it is God. And loving your life is loving God. Loving your life is loving your neighbor. Loving life is loving yourself. Years ago, there was a woman who visited Open Heart when we were first beginning, and we used the book It's All God, the flower and the fertilizer. And we were talking about it that particular Sunday morning. And she heard us say the words over and over again, it's all God. And a few weeks later, she was on an airplane with her husband when they hit one of those pockets of where there was no air rising up, no thermals rising up, and the plane started to dive down suddenly. And she talked about the fact that she reached over, she grabbed her husband by the hand, they looked at one another, and they said their goodbyes, because they thought surely the way that this plane is behaving, the way that it's descending rapidly, we're going to die. And she said in the midst of all of that, she heard the words that came there that morning at Open Heart when she visited, it's all God. It's all God. And she said in that moment, she relaxed. She knew that it was going to be all right. She relaxed because she knew that in that moment, truly what it meant, that it's all God. And after a few minutes or a few seconds, probably, things turned around. The plane was able to level out. And they were able to gain altitude and fly again. And then when she got home to Memphis, she called a friend that she had visited with, and she related that story, that it's all God. Which leads me to the idea that a part of this process, we have to learn how to accept what is, as Byron Katie would say, loving what is. And I want to be clear that it's not surrender. It's not giving up, but it's where you are in this moment. Note that this is the loving yourself part, because it starts with you and accepting what is, and then loving where you are, loving in the moment where you are. It's not surrender. It's not giving up. It's not saying I'm hopeless, but it's saying that in this moment, this is exactly right where I am. And why do we sometimes find loving ourselves the difficult part? People will point to their experiences. They'll say, I didn't have this and I didn't have that, and this happened to me and I had to do that, and I went through all of these things and everything, and all kinds of excuses that we might give as to why it is difficult to love ourselves. But ultimately, those experiences, those are the reasons that we point to for why it's difficult to love ourselves. They are stories. They're stories. Yes, they're stories. And pretty soon we get stuck in our stories and we tell them over and over and over again. We'll tell them to anybody who's willing to listen, and even to people who won't listen, but they're being nice, or maybe they're stuck and they have to hear our story, but they've heard it over and over again. And we identify with those stories. They become who we think that we are. And often we're not aware consciously that we're stuck in our stories. So it becomes important for us to understand and to know that in those moments when we find ourselves stuck in our stories, that we can break the continuity of your story of the past and future. Then the true intelligence arises, and also love. And the only way that love can come into your life is not through form, but through inner spaciousness that is presence. It's being in the present moment, because love has no form. And then as we begin to understand that, and we begin to move in that awareness, then we do something else. And this is something that's so important, that once we find ourselves and we identify with the fact that we are stuck in our stories, then the next step comes for us. And that is to take your power back. Take your power back, baby. Yes, take your power back. You can take your power back. Because you see, we're surrounded by this unlimited field of infinite possibility and potential, whose nature it is to create. It's all around us, and it's all running through us, and it works through us, and ultimately it expresses as us. And because we are one with this unlimited field of potential and possibility, whose nature is to create, we have an unlimited potential and possibility to create. What God does on the macro level, we can do on the micro level. There's a song I remember growing up that we used to sing in my church back home, Phillips Temple CME Church in Dayton, Ohio, and I used to love hearing that song, "Have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter, and I am the clay." And in this understanding, we and God work together, and our lives, our experiences are the clay. And I remember wondering how I could demonstrate this for people, how I could help people to understand the fact that we were playing a part in shaping and molding our lives. And some of you may remember this. I went out and I bought some Play-Doh. I bought enough Play-Doh for everybody that I thought would be at Open Heart that Sunday. And I started passing it out. And I know people were looking at me as I was passing those cans of Play-Doh around. They were looking at me kind of crazy, like, what is he up to now? What is he going to do? And as I instructed people to take the Play-Doh out and to put it in their hands, and said to them, whatever you have in your mind to create, remember that it first begins with an idea. It first begins with a thought. And then your mind sends instruction to your hands. And as you start shaping the Play-Doh will yield to you. It corresponds to your actions. It stretches. If you stretch it out, it rolls into a ball. If you roll it into a ball, however you do it, And this equates to the subjective mind when we think about it, when we talk about the subjective mind, the creative medium that you hear me refer to all the time, the creative medium that does what it's instructed to do. It takes what is given it and it begins shaping it and molding it to understand that the Play-Doh corresponds to your actions regardless. And it doesn't ask for ID. It doesn't want to know your religious affiliation or what political party you belong to. It doesn't care about your background, your race, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your income level. It doesn't check your credit score. It doesn't ask what you did last night, what you did yesterday, what you did last week, what you did last month, what you did last year. It doesn't ask how many times you go to church, if you tithe, whether you accepted Jesus as your personal savior, submitted to Allah, walked the middle path of Buddhism, or any other religious dogma. It simply corresponds. It works in the manner in which you shape it. And if in the middle of your shaping, or even when you're finished and you decide to do something else, it corresponds in that way too. If you say, I think I'll roll it into a ball, or no, I'll roll it out, or no, I'll flatten it, or no, I'll poke a hole into it. Whatever we decide to do, it's our thoughts, it's our minds that send instructions to our hands to start shaping. But we all know how that goes. That it's hard sometimes for people still to understand, because they say, oh, I never win anything. Nothing good ever happens for me. It's not just in the cards for me. That stuff doesn't work, all of that. And yet, that's what we get. Ernest Holmes says, if it follows, if we believe that it will not work, it really works by appearing not to work. When we believe that it cannot and will not, then according to principle, it does not. What I always say, that whatever we most strongly believe, when we put feeling behind that belief, the universe obliges. So we have to understand, and what I'm saying is that it works regardless of whether we're aware of how it does. It just does. So we have to learn how to use it correctly. Oftentimes we will hear that people in New Thought, Ancient Wisdom teachings are likely to engage in too much theory and too little practice. We're buying book after book and taking class after class, searching for things, and it's simply a matter of doing. I can talk to you all day about baking a cake, but until you get in the kitchen and get those things out of the cupboard and everywhere else and begin putting together and starting to putting the cake together, it won't simply happen. As Ernest Holmes says, simply announcing a principle doesn't get it. Johnny Coleman reminds us, it works if you work it. It works if you work it. It works if you work it. And finally, as I mentioned before, the only way that love can come into your life is not through form, but through that inner spaciousness that is present, because love has no form. It's energy, it's presence. But what is this presence, you ask? What is this presence that comes for us? What is this presence that guides and directs us in the things that we do? What is this presence that reminds us that we are on the path and on the journey? What is this presence that calls us forth into a greater and a higher place yet to be? What is it that reminds us that it is always with us and we are never alone? What is it that shows us the path to be guided on in the direction to take? What is it that guides us in this moment? Ricky Byers-Beckwith says it this way in a song, I know that it is God. There is a song praising God with all my mind. There's a rhythm and rhyme inside my soul, revealing Spirit's guiding light. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. There is something here that I just can't shake. It's invading my life, you see. Makes me go for higher ground and pulling me to really be. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. Oh, I won't deny this voice inside, this voice that's calling me. And even when I try to run and hide, this voice won't let me be. So I turn to listen deep within, for I know God's work I must begin. For I know, yes, I know that is God. So I say to myself, can this really be this still small voice, the way the Spirit speaks to me, touching me when I'm quiet, touching me when I'm alone, opening me as I surrender to the way that's been shown. And the song in my heart fills my heart with so much love. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. And I know that normally we end with I release, but this morning I want Ricky to sing for us, to lead that song for us to hear the words, to hear the melody, but most importantly, to hear the love and to hear the energy of this song. I know that it's God.
There's a song in my heart, praising God with all my might. There's a rhythm and a rhyme inside my soul, revealing spirits, guiding light. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. There is something here that I just can't shake. It's invading my life, you see. Makes me go for higher ground and pulling me to really be. And I know, yes, I know that it's God. No, I won't deny this voice inside. This voice keeps calling me, even when I try to run and hide. This voice won't let me be, so I turn and listen deep within. Oh, God's work I must begin, for I know, yes, I know that it's God. So I say to myself, can this really be? Is this still small voice, the way the Spirit speaks to me, touching me when I'm quiet, touching me when I'm alone, opening me as I surrender to the way that's being shown. And the song in my heart fills my life with so much love. For I know that it's God. No, I won't deny this voice inside. This voice keeps calling me, even when I try to run and hide. This voice won't let me be, so I turn and listen deep within. You know God's work I must begin, for I know, yes, I know that it's God. For I know, yes, I know that it's God.